how the world
как
works.
устроен
But
мир,
is he built the way I
но
see
как он
him,
устроен
the
на
way I
самом
feel
деле
him?
он, как его чувствуем.
Or how would I like to
Или
see him? How
как бы
would
я
I like to
хотел
see
его
the world?
видеть, каким бы хотел видеть
Why
мир.
am I
Начни вот с
rebuilding this world
представить
at
этот
all,
мир,
as
да,
a
как
human
человек.
being? A man living on
Живущий на
Earth.
Земле,
I
и
want to rebuild
хочу
him.
перестроить.
But the
Но
desire
само по
itself
себе
is
желание
progressive
как
to
бы
improve the world.
прогрессивное,
We all
улучшить
think
мир, мы
about
все
it.
думаем об этом.
But it
Но,
seems
как
to
мне
me,
кажется,
you
нужно
need
для
to
этого
know how
знать,
it
как
works
он
for
устроен.
this. If I don't know
Если
how
не
the
знаю,
world
как
works,
устроен мир, я
I'm trying
пытаюсь в
to
этом
improve it,
соучаствовать, то не
then it
получится
won't
ли
turn
так,
out
что
that
я
I'm
пытаюсь
trying to push the walls of this room
задвинуть стены
apart,
этого
so
помещения,
that there
чтобы
is
тут у
somehow
меня было
more living
больше
space,
пространства
but without
жизненного,
knowing how the
и не
entire
зная, как будет
architectural structure
строиться
works.
архитектурное
As a result,
сооружение,
the ceiling
в итоге
falls on my
потом
head,
останется
the building
неровным,
collapses.
рушится здание.
That is,
То есть,
of
конечно
course,
же, если я
if I
перестраиваю
rebuild some
какие-то вот
walls, load-bearing
стены,
structures, I
несущие
need to know the
конструкции,
exact
мне нужно
plan, the
точный план
structure of
знать
the building.
устройства здания.
And this is the
И вот этот
world, this
мир,
is it.
вот он такой.
That's the way he
Вот он
is.
такой, какой
He is
есть, он
harsh and he
суровый,
is
и он
affectionate.
и
And here
ласковый,
he is
и такой
unpredictable. And there
непредсказуемый,
are
и
some
тут
spontaneous
стихийные какие-то
energies.
есть
And there are some understandable
моменты,
more or
есть
less things
какие-то
for a
понятные
person.
более-менее вещи для человека.
In other
То
words,
есть мы
we live on a world
живем
not made with
на
hands.
нерукотворном мире.
In the
В
non-man-made
нерукотворном
world,
мире
it is
он
not made by man.
устроен не человеком.
In other words, a
То есть
person
отец
came into this
пришел в этот
world
мир
as
как
part of
часть
the nature
природы
of this
этого
world,
мира,
as part
часть
of the
этого
same
же мира.
world. And then
А
he
потом он
builds his
строит
world
свой
on this
мир на
man-made world.
нерукотворном мире.
Your own
Свой
man-made world.
рукотворный мир. Вот зачем
That's
это?
why you're asking. I
Я
understand that a
понимаю
person
по-разному.
wants
Человек хочет
happiness,
счастья,
more
больше
convenience,
удобств,
comfort,
комфорта,
avoid any suffering,
избежать каких-то вот,
inconvenience.
страданий, неудобств.
But
Но
surprisingly,
удивительно,
when I turn to the
когда
wise ancient truths,
обращаюсь
when
к
ancient
мудрым
Sanskrit
древним
texts are also
истинам,
studied,
когда изучаю
then
эти тексты
something completely
древние
disarming is said
санскритские,
there.
то там говорится нечто вот противоположное совершенно, обезоруживающее.
Great sages
Великие
say,
мудрецы говорят,
comfort is
комфорт
disgusting.
отвратителен.
Here we will not say this in
Мы
any
никак
way,
такое не
because for
скажем,
us
потому что
comfort
для нас
is just a
комфорт
part
это,
of
ну, как раз
civilization,
часть
the meaning of
цивилизации, смысл
civilization. You
цивилизации. Вот
see,
видите,
I'm
если
sitting in a
хороший
nice
приятель,
chair.
скажем,
Let's
мне
say I need
знак
clothes.
приезда,
Technology
также
also helps
технологии
us to
помогают
communicate,
нам
to overcome the
общаться,
distance.
преодолевать
In other words,
расстояния, то есть
we
если
want to
хотим,
live
мы
without
без
any
каких-то
effort, pressing
усилий
buttons so
нажимаем
we
на
can find out
кнопки, вот
everything that is happening in the
целенаправленно
world.
все, что
Through
происходит в
telegram.
мире.
There is no
Не
need to
нужно
be
того, чтобы
Miklu
Miklуху
Homaklim or
Макларен
anyone
или
else who was
кем-то еще,
eaten
как
there
все
by the
ездят в
natives on these
Грецию, хотят
trips.
путешествовать.
You
Ну,
can
вот все
watch
путешествия
everything on the
ограничиваются
TV screen in
безопасностью в
safety,
кресле,
in an
питанием
armchair by the
с
fireplace with a
сигарой,
cigar,
рюмкой
a
там
glass of champagne
шампанского.
there. The world is
Мир
arranged
устроен мудро,
wisely, very intelligently.
очень разумно.
He doesn't give
Он
us
не дает
comfort,
нам
he gives
комфорт,
us
он дает
reason.
нам разум.
That is, one
То есть
thing
все
needs to be
одно нужно
chosen,
выбирать либо
either comfort
комфорт,
or reason.
либо разум. Вот
These
эти
two
вещи как
things
бы
do
не
not seem to be
сочетаются
combined in the mind of a wise man.
в разуме мудреца.
When it is
И
said
тогда
like
говорится
this,
так,
the
вопрос
question is
задается,
asked, how can a person
откуда у
striving for
человека,
knowledge have sensual pleasures?
стремящегося к знанию, могут быть чувственные удовольствия?
And how can
И
someone who
откуда у
aspires
того,
to
кто
sensual
стремится к
pleasure have
чувственным
knowledge?
удовольствиям, может
That
быть
is,
знание?
like fire and water,
То есть
something
как
is
огонь и
one,
вода, что
either
там
fire
либо
or
огонь, либо
water.
вода.
Here we are
Вот вы
living in
сами
such a
попробуйте
contradictory
прийти, где мы
world,
живем,
from
вот
this
с
point
этой
of
точки
view.
зрения.
And so it's
А
the
так
seasons of the
по-другому. Вот
year,
сезоны
everything
года,
rotates, cycles
вращается
time,
циклет,
day.
время,
Gives me
сутки.
the opportunity to
Например,
start some
может
initiatives in these
начинать
cycles,
любой
some
цикл,
plans,
какие-то
complete
начинания,
something
какие-то
there I
планы,
don't know
завершать что-то
well.
там, не знаю,
Somehow live,
как-то
taking into
жить,
account
учитывая
time,
время,
circumstances,
обстоятельства,
gives me some
зависимости точек
measurements,
зрения,
solar
солнечный
cycles,
цикл,
daily,
суточные,
minutes,
минуты,
hours.
часы.
Then we can somehow see
Затем это
some
можно
kind of
построить
symmetry,
какую-то
logic,
симметрию, логику,
mathematics,
математику,
geometry,
геометрию,
physics, and
физику,
chemical compounds.
химические
You can get
соединения,
carried
можно
away
все
with everything.
увлечься вот как-то
That's how
таким
this world works
устроен
in an
интересным
interesting way.
образом.
In other words, we
То есть мы
studied its
изучаем методы
interaction, as it were.
взаимодействия. А
But
вот
why is he
почему
like
он
this?
такой?
The person
Не
cannot
можете...
answer. That's what I'd
Вот
like
я
to
бы
talk
хотел
about
сегодня как
today.
раз об этом поговорить.
Why the world is
Почему
exactly
мир
the way we see it.
именно такой, как мы его видим?
Let's think at
Давайте
least one
подумаем
thing
хотя бы
for a
одну
few seconds,
несколько
5
секунд.
seconds.
5 секунд.
3 more seconds.
Еще 3
Why do
секунды.
you think the
Думайте,
world is
почему
like
мир
this?
именно
Why
такой?
exactly is there
Почему именно
Earth?
есть Земля?
Why is there
Почему
a
Солнце?
sun?
Почему воздух?
Why air? Why is he exactly
Почему
like that?
он именно
Why
такой?
is a person
Почему
like this?
человек
Why
такой?
are there two
Почему
opposite
есть два
sexes?
противоположных
Why are
пола?
there not same-sex
Почему
beginnings. Why is marriage and family needed?
Почему нужен брак,
Why does it take so much effort to raise children? Why is peace so difficult to achieve? Something that happens in nature at all. Why do we want to find what we don't have? What we don't know. We want what we want. What we don't know. Go there, I don't know where, that's what they say. And find something, I don't know what. And we don't know what we want from this. What is this? Is this a statement of nature in general? And that's where the ancients help us, ancient wisdom. Because the world does not consist only of rough elements. The rough elements are what we can see of the elements here. Let's take a break from modern education. Versus means air, earth, water, light radiation, space, water.
Излучение света, пространство, водные.
These are poems, crude poems that we perceive through touch, through smells, through sight and hearing.
Через зрение и слух.
We perceive and see these elements as the truth surrounding us. But it says there are still three elements that a person does not see, does not feel with ordinary organs of perception.
Не чувствуют обычными органами восприятия.
These are subtle elements, which, however, are used every second. This is the element of the mind, the element of reason, and the element of conceit.
И стихия
Self-awareness is also an element, but it has not been studied, invisible elements, as it were. I don't see, I look at a person, I don't see his mind, but I guess there is some kind of mind here by his actions. He also eats, he also works, he knows how to count money, he even knows some kind of science, he has a mind. And what kind of mind? I listen to him, I perceive by ear, what kind of mind does he have there? Is he a smart or a stupid person? I should hear it, but I don't see it. And then there is reason, and the wise say that reason is even higher than mind. There are whole elements that open up to the past, present, and future. Imagine what areas of science are potentially revealed to us if we can find this mind, pure mind. But reason, that's the point, that the sages say that reason is one thing, either reason or sensual emotions. If I enjoy my feelings, the mind obeys the feelings. For me, the meaning of life will remain its food, sleep, copulation, defense. Look, I'm becoming an animal. Animals live exactly the same way. There is no need for intelligence. When we reach this mind, we begin to see the structure of the world through our eyes. We can see with our eyes how the world works. Why is there air? Why is there a person? Why a bird? How are they related? Imagine, it took us a lot of time as scientists to understand that all living beings are connected together. If you destroy one kind of life, another kind of life suffers. I remember when I was in school, it was like a discovery of scientists. In China, they tried to achieve high yields. Yes, I remember, they planted wheat there and the yield is high, because hunger is defeated there, everything else. Economy. And we found out that sparrows eat some kind of investigative harvest. Birds and people on instructions began to bring sparrows. Killed them. Just, hundreds, tens, thousands. And there were mountains like Vereshchadins in the picture, but there were wars. Such a pile of these mountains of these sparrows. So they saved the harvest. Most surprisingly, the harvest was completely lost when they destroyed the sparrows. There were such caterpillars that sparrows eat, which ate the whole crop. And that's when people realized from these examples, they didn't immediately realize that we were in the same value system, as it were. All living beings are connected in one single chain of maintaining life. I need a lot to keep a person alive. Not only the food turns out to be. Man does not live by bread alone. And I need more emotions, I need beauty, I need communication, I need love, some more love, a lot of love. Everyone strives for this. But we need to know, this is also an element. This is also an element. And like any element, it combines with something, it does not combine with something. For example, good and evil do not combine. You choose one thing. If you are both good and evil at the same time, you will live in hell. In hell inside of myself. This is now such a famous human drama. He simultaneously understands what is good and what is bad, and cannot do either. And together, everything is in a mixed state. This is such a drama, such a human tragedy. He gets both good and evil at the same time. To appear and cry, it is necessary to weep over this. You can even create such a fashion, culture. You can see what an interesting person he is, how tragically he lives his life. You can also enjoy it, but it's called a perverted feeling. Of course, we are interested in clean ones. Pure air, pure water, pure thoughts, pure speech, deeds, pure love. Purity is the sister of divinity. In other words, we strive, as it were, instinctively to God. If we study nature, we will inevitably encounter this incomprehensibly pure, purest higher energy, which is above the mind of humanity. Super energy, divine element. And the mind is her close neighbor. It's called enlightened. It's like when we come out into the light of God, they say, and begin to see. The mind is the one who sees. Not the eye sees, the mind sees. The nose hears, the mind hears. He hears, listens, and does not hear, looks and does not see. So is Jesus Christ, in my opinion. That's exactly what it's about. What the mind sees. This is the element. And we will talk about the fact that man is arranged, of course, at the same time as an animal, and at the same time. He has a difference from an animal. What is the difference? This topic, you know, is very acute. Because, well, nobody likes it. I don't like being called an animal. But, unfortunately, I'm going to say such things today, because most people live at the level of animal existence, at the level of biological needs. Most of them. I'm not talking about the form of the accusation. I'm just stating a fact, in order to improve something or something. That I also lived like that in my time, as if, like an animal. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand, but why am I still not satisfied? Sometimes even elderly people turn to me. I don't know why I was young. And one elderly man asked me, "You know, I have a son, well, about your age, but here he drinks." Well, then it was often, now less, maybe they drink in Russia. But then, of course, it was a problem of the USSR, alcoholism. And now he's drinking hard. I say, is there something missing in his life, maybe? Is everything there? Everything is there. My education, he has a job, a profession, he has a family, he has children. I say, what about my wife? Normal, well, that is good. But that's it. We don't see any reason. We began to investigate the reasons. There was no reason, really, but why is a person dissatisfied? Why is all this not enough? He needs to get drunk there and forget about all that he has. Do you understand? Just disconnect from it all. What kind of phenomenon is this? It's a law of nature, it's not just a phenomenon. I don't understand it myself. I live like animals, I always lack something, because I am a human being. I was created for a different purpose. This dissatisfaction is inherent in me. It is written in ancient texts that a person will suffer until he turns his face to the absolute truth. It's in his mind. The mind will make him suffer and look for the wrong thing, the wrong thing, the wrong thing. And it's not the same here. And in the family too, not everything is the same. And not everything is in the work. That is, there is no happiness even in money. Look, there is no happiness in anything. But what about it? Where? The searching nature. So we have to give space to these searches. Space is a question. Civilization does not answer many questions. Doesn't answer. I asked my mother, "Mom, where did I come from?" But to sit and ask, they talk about it all the time. I also once thought, thinks, here I am. All right. Where did I come from? Well, who else knows, besides the mother? Gone. Asks. The mother began to smile strangely like that. I say, well, ask Grandma. Grandma knows. She found you somewhere, I don't know. So I went to my grandmother, I'm serious, my grandmother is here. Mom sent it to you. Tell me, did you find me in the garden or something? Where did I come from? I went to the garden one day for cabbage, and there you are lying in the cabbage. Says, here I took it for you. That's how you showed up. But I say, who put me in the cabbage? Well, everyone was laughing. I felt something strange, there is something in adults, some secrets of the face from me. But it's a mystery. And who will answer? And I needed an answer. You see, I've grown up with this answer. I searched and searched and searched anyway. I understood that there was some mystery in life. There is a mystery in me. There is a mystery in the world. There is a mystery in every person. But we don't ask about it. We ask, where is the food? Where's the money? Where is the apartment? Where's the car? Where are the enemies? Where are your friends? We are asking about completely different things. We ask about the mystery of life, about the reason for existence. And first, you need to start with the structure of the world. This is also a mystery, a great mystery. A great mystery.
великая тайна.
It is impossible to
Ее
solve it.
разгадать невозможно,
You can
но
approach it,
можно
you can learn to
приблизиться к
live
нему,
with it.
приблизить к нему.
Solving the mystery.
Но за
She
разгадывать тайну
disappears,
очень
she is
легко.
no more.
Нет, это уже
That's all,
все
it's
скучно
getting boring.
становится.
This
Эта тайна
mystery is
будет все правильно
inexhaustible, and it is
поясняться,
just necessary to learn to live with it, with this mystery. If
Если
you look
посмотреть
more
более так
practically at how the world
глубоко
works,
устроен
it
мир.
will be an interesting
Интересная эта
picture.
картина.
You know,
Знаете,
so
потому что
interesting,
великая,
amazing.
удивительная.
Because the world is designed so that it will make me work.
заставить меня работать.
I want to, I don't want
Я
to.
не хочу.
You will earn your daily
Вот
bread
эти
by the
царства
sweat of your
земли,
brow.
хлеб насущный.
Remember, yes,
Помните, да,
this story with the Bible, when Adam and Eve were cursed in such a way, that now you will earn your daily bread by the sweat of your brow. You will work hard. Well, is that why I have to work to be happy?
Чтобы быть счастливым.
Can I just be
Могу я
happy,
просто быть
but without
счастливым?
effort, just like
Ну,
that?
без усилий.
No.
Просто
If
так.
you like to
Нет.
ride,
Любить
love to
кататься,
carry
любить
sleds.
саночки возить.
Here
У
we
нас
have
такое
such a
свойство
device of the earth.
земли.
Here to eat, work hard,
Чтобы
to sleep,
поесть,
work hard.
трудись, чтобы поспать, трудись.
To love someone,
Чтобы
to create a family,
любить
work
кого-то,
hard.
семью создать, трудись.
There is a lot of load on a
Много идет
person,
нагрузки на
a
человека.
huge load.
Огромная нагрузка.
Let's look at why
Давайте
the
рассмотрим,
earthly world
почему
works like
устроен мир
this,
земной
and
так.
then we'll talk about
А
there are
потом
other
поговорим, что
worlds.
есть и другие миры.
And in
И,
fact, other
собственно,
worlds can
другие
also
миры могут и
manifest
здесь
here
тоже
on earth.
проявляться на земле.
But if we
Но
solve
если мы
this
разгадаем
mystery,
вот эту
after
тайну,
all,
ведь мы
we
же
want
хотим
to build a happy
построить
society.
счастливое общество,
Well, that's where
вот,
we'd just be
где
happy,
мы были просто
and less
счастливы,
effort
и
for that.
меньших усилий для
There
этого.
is no hellish
Нет
work,
адского
these hellish
труда, вот этих
relationships,
адских
wars,
отношений, там, войн, там,
contradictions,
противоречий,
philosophical and political clashes.
философских,
We would like
политических,
some
вот
kind
этих
of unity of the
любовных.
world,
Просто
some kind of
мир,
agreement.
соглашение какое-то.
Yes, it's
Да,
possible.
возможно.
If
Если
we
наше посольство
recognize the
устройство
structure of the earth,
земли,
it is not
оно
against
не
us.
против нас.
Labor is not directed
Труд
against
направлен
us.
против
Labor
нас.
is aimed
Труд
at the
направлен на
crystallization of the spirit, at
кристаллизацию
revealing
духа,
precisely the functions of
на
the mind, the
выявление именно
enlightenment of the
функции
human.
разума, просветленности человеческого.
Now we see such
Сейчас мы видим
grains of
такие
enlightenment,
крупицы
such
просветления,
leaders,
таких лидеров,
philosophers, some
философов,
prophets,
каких-то
saints.
пророков,
There are
святых.
small units of them, but they
Их
call us
мало,
there.
единицы.
Everything is
Но они
welcome for
призывают нас
everyone.
именно туда.
Now,
Что
everyone
для
can enter
всех,
into this,
пожалуйста,
into the kingdom of
каждый
God.
может войти,
Create
это
this
шанс
lost
это
paradise
любовь,
here,
создать
return it.
этот
There was,
потерянный
that
рай,
is,
вернуть
once
его.
upon a time.
Было
There was
такое
this
когда-то,
mind.
был этот
In other
разум,
words,
то есть
we
мы
somehow lost paradise
потеряли,
lost.
потерянный
Yes,
рай, да,
there is
если
such a
сегодня
work.
видим,
Lost
потеряли
this
этот рай.
paradise. And they are
И они
calling on us to
должны знать, как
return this all
вернуть
back.
это всё, вернуть.
How?
Как?
You need to
Нужно
know
знать,
how
как
to
это
work.
делается. Это
This is the fundamental
законы
theme of the
жизни,
law of
законы
being.
бытия,
Karma,
карма,
labor,
труд,
activity, laws of
деятельность,
activity.
законы деятельности.
A person must
Человек
learn
должен
these
усвоить вот
laws,
эти законы,
understand them.
разобраться в них.
The intricacies of activity are so complex
Настолько
that they are
сложны,
not
что
amenable
разуму
to human
человеческому не
reason.
поддаются.
As one
Как
scientist told me when he
ничтожно,
asked if
непростительно
science can see
восприятие
the
наука,
future, calculate some
ну,
events of,
видеть
say, the
будущее,
future.
просчитывать какие-то события, скажем,
He
будущего.
says,
Он говорит,
well,
ну,
maybe to some extent,
может, до какой-то степени,
because some laws
потому
are
что
well
законы
known.
некоторые известны.
That's when we use
Вот
known
когда мы
laws,
пользуемся
we can
законами
calculate
известными, мы
something.
можем что-то
But you
просчитать.
see,
Но
this is so
понимаете, это
theoretically,
настолько
but
теоретически,
practically
а
very
практически
difficult,
очень трудно,
because you
потому что
even need to
теоретически
calculate the
надо
flight of a
просчитать
fly
полет мухи,
that
который
flew in
перед тобой
front of you
летел и
and made
изменил
your
твой
nose,
голос, изменил
changed
твое
your mood.
настроение.
It also needs
Это
to be
тоже надо вот
calculated, it
просчитать,
turns out.
оказывается. А вот это вот,
And this is almost
это
difficult to
практически
do.
сложно сделать.
We understand
Но
it
теоретически мы
theoretically,
понимаем,
these
что
laws
эти
can be
законы
studied.
изучить можно.
I found something,
И
in
я
the
нашел,
driver's
знаете, в
bugs, where
Бхагавад-гите,
it
где
says
именно об этом
exactly that
говорится,
it
что
is
это
difficult
трудно для
for a
человека,
person to do
но
this. But you
нужно
need to
понять три
understand
вещи
three
всего.
things in total.
Три
Three things
вещи.
means what is
Посмотрите,
an
что
activity,
такое
what is a
деятельность,
prohibited
что
activity,
такое
and what is inaction.
запрещенная деятельность и что такое
Here are
бездействие.
just three
Вот
things a
три
person needs to
вещи, которые
understand
нужно понять,
in order
чтобы
to
быть
regain the lost
теперь так.
paradise. That is,
То есть
not everything we
не
do is
все,
called
что
an
мы делаем,
activity,
называется
it turns out,
деятельностью, оказывается.
because the results
Потому
are
что
different.
разные результаты
An
будут.
activity is always
Деятельность–
a
это
good
всегда
result,
хороший
and a
результат.
prohibited activity is
А
also an
запрещенная
activity,
деятельность– это
but a
тоже
bad
будет
result.
плохой результат.
They differ in
Они
results.
отличаются по результату.
For example, there is a
На
sinful
примере
activity
греховной
prohibited
жизни,
by
запрещенной
Scripture or the law
Писанием,
of
законом
society.
общества,
It's all based
она
on
вся основана
violence.
на насилии.
Any sinful activity
Любая
is violence.
греховная деятельность– это насилие,
Parasitism is
паразитизм,
exploitation.
это
These
эксплуатация,
are
это все
always such elements.
элементы.
And there is a positive
А есть
activity.
позитивная деятельность,
This is a virtuous
деятельность
activity. When I
добродетельная,
try to do
когда
something
ради
selflessly
других
for the
пытаюсь
sake of
что-то
others,
сделать
there is such a
бескорыстно,
kind of
альтруизм такой
altruism.
некий.
Here, altruism
Вот
brings
альтруизм
good
приносит
fruits of
хорошие
activity,
плоды
but this
деятельности, а вот эта
exploitation brings
эксплуатация
other fruits.
другие плоды.
Violence increases,
Усиливается
suffering
насилие,
increases, decreases, contradictions increase, society is torn apart. And then there is the third one, which turns out to be in an activity that we don't know about. Without action. Action without action is science. That's what we need to learn. As if we want a new world, a new civilization, a lost paradise. And it is an action in inaction that does not bring any material result. He comes by himself. It does not pursue such goals. It pursues the goals of the revival of the spirit. Act so that your spirit will manifest, your love will manifest. Your happiness has appeared. Your knowledge has been revealed. This is what is called inaction. And everything else will come by itself. Everything will be added, Jesus said. Everything will follow on its own. He doesn't think about it. And can you add at least one elbow to your height yourself? You can't. And can you add reason to yourself? You can't. It's all a gift from God, human talents. Where do they come from? That's because of this activity. And karma is called inaction in action. I do this just out of gratitude, out of love, for happiness. Don't need anything. Just like that. There is such a cartoon, just like that. Because I love the world, I love people. This is a level of civilization, a completely different way of thinking, a different attitude to the world, a different kind of activity. These are logics. Three types of activity. By and large, if the universe says how the world works, then karma, this pious separateness. It brings a person to the level of paradise planets in the future. The soul can ascend to the higher planets. Well, it's not that I improve myself with the help of a big house, good cars, money. I am improving in this way to be yours. And I can remain a scoundrel at the same time with everything. In my own posh car, in a posh house, I'm going to be a refined scoundrel, you know. And so the man works. It works. And at the same time, he has. If it doesn't work, what happens to it if it doesn't work? But then it degrades. Celebrating the devil's workshop, they say. That's exactly how it was noticed. The person does not work. What do you do? Nothing, but it's dangerous. What will come of you? Tunia. Parasite, lazy, who else? You can't support your family, you can't set an example for children. So you're out of money or something. Well, it's kind of low for a man. Must work. Why is that? If you don't work, a man doesn't work. Where is he looking? Tell me. Biological nature, where is it looking? To the opposite sex. Now we have touched on the topic. Oh, a painful topic. I don't even know how to talk about these topics, because, well, it's going to hurt a lot now. Here she is an animal, that's where the root is, that's how the devil sits for you, this lust here. If I am not busy fulfilling my higher duties, I fall into the power of my lust. I'm starting to plan where to go, who to meet. I look at other women, only at my wife or at many women. I don't want to contact my family at all. But why? Why? If milk can be bought at the market, why keep a cow? Why get married? It's so much effort, you need to pay, you need to work for it all. Milk can be bought at the market, paid, and please drink, enjoy. Well, how many women are around? This means that even when a person feels lust for a woman, duties, karma, work are imposed on him. Absolutely. Because work cleanses from lust. So it's not a curse that we have to work. It's the same and a blessing. For us, it's like occupational therapy is so universal here on earth. This is the field of karmic activity, work. Work honestly, work for the benefit of others. Work so that your soul is happy, so that it sings, so that it dances. That's how you live. This culture is donating to you. Songs, dances, music, art, poetry. Develop it all, develop yourself. Here is this civilization. How it works, the earthly life of people. Working hard. Yes, but they have fun, they dance, they sing, and do not glorify the Almighty. They admire this life and are not afraid of death. That's what a man comes in. This is civilization. Because death is a transition forever, always to the highest level, if you live in a civilized one. It's always a transition to a higher level. There's nothing to be afraid of. That's when the vac man goes and is scary, but he already feels. You know, he already feels it. He feels bad already now from these sins. He's already at peace inside himself. He is already afraid of the persecution of the law. He's afraid of people. He hates people because he has encountered their vices and is very vicious himself. He sees only vices. If he himself is in vices, he sees vices in people too, even holy flaws. After all, he gets into hell of his own mind, he says. It is this element of the mind that tyrannizes him. In the end, He gets into such an environment to the appropriate mood. We need experience, the experience of such communication, the experience of such kind of research. We need to see a really happy person who has found this mind, this shining spirit of his to see. And then we will believe. Because the fact is, I've seen it. Look, there are such people. A person must return to God, as it were, in order to understand the world. That there is a creator, you need to turn your face to the creator, and it will be clear how the world works. Jesus has already come, why wait? Everything is already there. There are commandments, there is culture. The question is, why did we abandon this? Why do we live differently, knowing all this? After all, everything is simple. If you want to be happy, there are rules and regulations, there are wise men. It is clear what is good and what is bad. Do good things and that's it. Not really. Here I even know it all, I can do everything the other way around. And the answer was this: it's lust, the devouring enemy of the soul. And of course, lust, it has, as it were, its own range. Great range. From the lowest forms, just firm lustful animal inclinations, to very subtle forms of a connoisseur of beauty, art. This is also lust, but closer to spirituality, closer to such spheres where there is no this flesh. From this flesh, greedily devouring the human mind. There is no exploitation of each other. That a man exploits a woman for a sense of pleasure, she exploits a man for sensual pleasure. And if they agree on it, call it marriage. Of course, we know such examples from history, when religious systems struggled with lust. But there were pictures, of course, terrifying. I'll mention it. For example, during the Inquisition, beautiful women were burned at the stake. Why? And lust is there. This is a fiend of evil. They are devilish creatures, these beauties. They arouse lust in men, and they commit sins. And so they go to hell. That's it. This woman is everything. There were such manifestations. Also to knowledge, some knowledge was forbidden, because it is free thinking. This means that the development of some already independent culture from religious systems was also not allowed. Somewhere a woman was enslaved in a burqa. It is in the past that we have seen such attempts. And when they saw a pregnant woman, I remember you telling us from history, the priests saw a pregnant woman. They said with disgust, "This is the fruit of your lust. This is all earthly, this is lustful, everything is sinful." Those sinners, they called this future mother a sinner. And remember these lessons of history. We went to the other extreme, according to the law of the pendulum. We went into emancipation, into the complete liberation of women. The wise say, find the golden mean. You can't do either. The whole civilization is determined by the attitude to a woman as a mother, as a sister, purely platonically. And now a woman has been emancipated, and she cannot be given complete freedom. Forbidden by the sages. Why? A woman is controlled only by love. She is always under the control of love. As a child, her father loves her. And not just loves. A father should say, you know what, daughters? You're the best in the world. That's how it should be. That's what she needs to hear from her father. This is called the control of women. Here it is necessary to control them with love. Emancipation means that we exploit a woman. Here she is a free woman, gets pregnant, the man leaves, she stays with the child, and is looking for a file somewhere. Where is emancipation? Where is freedom? Actually, everything is wrong. It should be for the protection of society. A woman is more sensitive by nature, she needs protection, male protection. And in her youth, her husband loves her, she should also be the only one for him, too. There should be such a value. She should feel so valuable. For the sake of love, she is ready to do great things. A woman, she becomes great. If there is no love, she is nobody. Nobody needs her, she's nobody. She loses everything, they say. As I said, for a woman, if there is no love, then there is not for a long time. And a man has love and duty, or he can do both, as it were. If there is not one thing, but he can do one of two things. And a woman without love cannot do her duty. She needs love. Emancipation is a mistake, and the enslavement of women is also a mistake. These were two extremes. Not to mention the Inquisition, there's nothing to talk about. It was a manifestation, some terrible manifestations of religion. This is one of the reasons why people began to abandon religious prescriptions and rules. Maybe they confuse love with lust. Maybe this is the reason. That's why I was taught from the very beginning to distinguish between love and lust, to distinguish between matter and spirit, the dead and the living. The living is love, and the dead is lust. Lust is so related to the body, not to the soul. I do not know the soul, but I see a beautiful body, young. And that's where I feel lust. And as soon as feelings are not satisfied, he gets divorced. This is lust. This is all the area of lust. Well, there is lust. There is lust. There is lust, women like it. Marry. That's marriage. And what does it mean to get married? Don't look at other women now, everything. Only one woman you have. Restrictions, you see, lust. Marriage is a limitation of lust. But in marriage, I can, you can. However, the nature of marriage is such, men and women, they quickly get used to it. A honeymoon and that's it. A honeymoon and that's it. They examined their bodies and that was it. They calmed down. Now I like another woman, someone else's wife. Here it is, lust goes and lust, lust. And the wife says, no. And the husband says no to his wife. The sages say that a man himself cannot control himself in front of women, but his wife can control him. A wife is given to him for control, you see, for chastity. Also, a woman cannot resist men, they do not promise, they are deceived. And the husband can control his feelings. Here they are created to protect each other, to protect from lust. That's what marriage is called. Animals don't have that. This is already a human civilization. In other words, human civilization begins with marriage, with fidelity. Then how? Well, there is lust, sexual relations, but children are already born as a result. So the load. Ah, I see, it comes to me. So it is necessary to regulate these relations. Not just when it pleases, on a whim. And then what will I have? 50 children, I won't survive like this. Or I won't survive 20 children. And even 5 children is difficult. How much do you need? And then a person thinks, unable to cope with lust, protective means use something artificial, turns to it. And this is said, no, turn to knowledge. Through this work, it is assumed, if it is honest work, noble work, the maintenance of the family. And you, as a spiritual teacher for your children, take care of their soul as well, then you do not need to turn to artificial methods. The Spirit will protect you. Purity appears in a person. It's a good name that he gives good descendants. He's not a family, you know. This is a good name, this is prestige, this is the glory of a person in his family, his children. No matter how a person may seem, occupying some great position, culture is determined not by position, but because he lives in a family. Only by this criterion does the family meet, and all the highest principles are laid down in the family, of course. We don't even need to read the commandments of the Bible. Look at the family. They are all automatically applied there. People know that there is no need to commit adultery in the family. There is no need to steal in the family. There is no need to envy in the family. You need to remove the elders in the family. All the commandments there are sacred in the family naturally, if it is a family. And when they break up into these commandments, there is no family anymore. There is just lust. God is an authority for everyone. Right? But if there is no God, the man just has his own opinion, and the wife has her own opinion. This is typical. And then the children will have a third opinion. The family has broken up. But if the husband serves God, the wife serves her husband, naturally the children all accept this tradition. It's called a dynasty. Here it is being built. It is a sacred union, a marriage in heaven, it is said. This is sacred, the birth of children is sacred, the food should be sanctified. In other words, a house is a holy place, it is a temple for the soul. That's what a person works for, to realize that he lives in a big family. And working in a marriage means developing love, caring. It's not just working to have money, watching TV, and going to show off. You'll get old anyway. And to work to free the soul, to take care of people and family and children. Caring. Work for caring. That is, karma, work is intended for the victim, for yaga. Here it is purification. Here's the way out. It is not intended for enrichment, not for the development of a sense of ownership, for freedom from a sense of ownership, for the liberation of work. And a person works for the return, and he understands that he lives in a family and also in the big family of God. This man is perfect, has reached perfection. He can love. Here he worked for a reason. It's not like he made a lot of money. This money is enough for a penny to a penny on the road to hell, as they say. Without change. That's for sure, you know, I say, it will absolutely happen. How much he earned, so much exactly their tickets cost him. There are different roads to hell and different distances to hell. And a person stubbornly earns for himself some kind of. And some people work and get rid of all problems. It may be a difficult path, but it's a good path. Today, we are going to talk about the structure of the world and man from the point of view of hidden possibilities. What we do not use today, and this good as it were, so that we take advantage of our life in this world. We will talk about these hidden energies, the abilities of talents, the hidden laws of nature with which we will interact. We will be able to create a civilization, a great civilization. We are talking about such global things today. Today is such a topic. Man and the world, it should be a strong combination. The foundations of being are described and classified in these ancient epistles. We don't know anything ourselves. We are all human beings, we don't know such things. This is superhuman knowledge. This is beyond our experience. We can only hear, either accept or not accept. And a person's life here is compared to a person walking in the desert. We are in a state of risk. We risk our lives if we do something wrong. We risk our whole lives. And suddenly you go into the desert and you are thirsty for water. Water gives you life. You will die without water. And suddenly you see a Nazi walking briskly towards a person, your song. Here you are almost dying already, but here a man is walking briskly. And you ask, is there water somewhere? Yes, he's going there, there's water there. You have the choice to check how it is, to doubt it, to analyze it, to investigate it all. You have no choice. That's the position we're in. Either we accept this legal knowledge, or we don't accept it. But it is tested in practice. And go and get water. You will see when you come, then you will get water. Unfortunately, we are going after the mirage now. It seems to us that everything will be fine. The mirage of water, there is also such a phenomenon. Of course, it's a reflection of real water, but it's a mirage. There's no water. There is no happiness. Therefore, you see, we have no choice. And what I have received, what I am guided by in life, is the 5 foundations of being. The 5 foundations of being. Now you will see this is an interesting picture, a very interesting picture. It gives us a lot. By the way, I would not have participated in this program ever in my life if I did not know the 5 foundations of these being. I wouldn't be able to give any lectures, I wouldn't be able to be so sure of what I'm saying. Although I don't know these things, right? But if you know the 5 foundations of being and know yourself to some extent, you already know a lot. Know yourself, you will know everything. The whole world is said. Because I, as a person, am a small model of the universe, of all this universal being. These 5 foundations are also laid in my nature, so I can apply it and make sure in practice that it works. I can interact with the world. So I'm going to tell you this in confidence. It's an open secret, you know, even if I say it, it will remain a secret for those who won't do it. It will remain a secret anyway. As soon as you start doing this, you will see the mystery is in front of you. Please live in it. And the first basis of being is God. Super spirit. As my consciousness permeates the whole body, I feel it. So does superconsciousness permeate the entire universe. Look at how ants, beavers work, how birds arrive. You will see that all living beings are guided by some kind of knowledge. This is not their knowledge. They are simple living beings, they do not know any sciences, but they act motivated by this instinct, someone's knowledge. Some kind of superconsciousness obeys this instinct. The only one who can disobey is a human. But it's a right of choice. And the others don't. Other living beings obey the laws of nature. And this is the first basis of being. Study it. Once went to the forest. I was still at school on Sakhalin, when we lived in the north of Sakhalin. And there is such a cedar slate. I haven't actually seen him anywhere else, only there in Kamchatka and Sakhalin. This is a cedar tree that creeps on the ground. I went to get the cones. When I was studying from the forest, I was met in the city by an elderly man and asked, "Have you been in the woods now?" That there are a lot of bumps. I say, "This year the cones are just a sea. A huge amount, there are no bumps around." And he told me such a thing that I thought later, I still think, I can't understand. He said, "So there will be a lot of red fish. But how is it related?" That's how it's connected, you know. These are some laws of nature that I observe. I can't explain it. I don't see the connection myself, but there are connections. I can observe. A lot of pine cones were born, so there will be a lot of red fish noticed. In other words, there is this kind of superconsciousness. This is what is called an instinct that controls a living being. And this is the first basis of being that we need to recognize that we live in a world unknown from this point of view, which is above us. Yes, it is called the divine nature device. The second foundation is myself, the soul. It means the supersoul and the soul. I'm a soul too, look. I also belong to this nature. I can be with her. But I'm a little soul. I'm kind of, well, part of the whole. My function as a part is to serve the whole. This is the second basis of being. You see, what an interesting position. Already the right position. I am no longer in the spirit of domination. I am not coming in the spirit of some destroyer, but in the spirit of service already. In the spirit of benevolence, I come into this world, because there is a superconsciousness. I cooperate with it like this. The superconsciousness wants the good of every living being. I have to do the same. It is for every living being to think about his welfare. Well, this is the second basis of being. The third basis of being is karma, the activity that we mention. What is activity, karma? To understand this, the laws of karma, consequences, actions, reactions. We need to figure this out. The fourth basis of being is time. Time must be taken into account. What time we are living in now is some kind of a new era, because there is an irresistible influence of time. The lifespan is also time. The daily hours are also the time. I need to know at what time, what I should be doing. It is necessary, as it were, to cooperate with time. This is the time to study the cycles of time and live with time. And the fifth basis of existence is material nature itself, how it is arranged, the modes of material nature, the quality of material nature. These are the five foundations of being. If we know, we will be able to know ourselves, the world around us. These are the five foundations, the five postulates of the immutable, eternal. We are not looking for an easy life, as if we say life has harsh laws, but because she is a teacher. We have to learn. And it's not easy. Yes, we know the teacher is strict, sometimes harsh. Mother Nature as a teacher is also very strict. God is also strict, harsh, as they say. Its laws are unshakable, do not change. That's what you sow, you wait. Even for a mistake, you will answer. Nature is so harsh, material. Even for mistakes, we are innocent mistakes, we can pay very bitterly. A child, he's innocent, he's completely naive. He takes matches, he's interested, and the house burns down. How harsh. What harsh laws. What kind of world we live in, it turns out. The supreme law. I'm going to say one thing now. The supreme law is not the law of karma. The law of karma is not the supreme law. The highest law is love and forgiveness. If we can enter into this lifestyle tariff set for a person from above, we will be able to understand this world, its structure. But just as a free person is someone who observes the legitimate state. But he's free. And here is this man who wants to be freed from all the legitimate interests of the state. He turns out to be in prison, do you see? He turns out not to be free. So also free. Is someone following the laws of the state, or someone who ignores the laws of the state? The thief considers himself to be a free man, but spends most of his life in prison at the same time. He's thinking, this conceit is just that. And a free person follows the law of the state, and therefore he is free. You see, he is given the right to choose. Also, if we take into account all these laws of nature, study them, stop as this thoughtless, useless activity. For the sake of just profit, for the sake of profit. We will be able to understand ourselves and the world in practice, not only theoretically, discussing something like this in the office, but in life we will be able to understand. In the world, if we talk about the scientific world, it is a good topic, a very important topic. Because science, in a sense, now takes the place of God for many people. Such authority of science is strong. In any case, in my youth it was absolutely so. In the Soviet Union, science was instead of religion in the place of God. And what scientists proved was unquestioningly accepted. Science had the highest authority. Less now. In my eyes, now science does not have such authority as before. Why? There are two areas of science: orthodox and orthopractice. In other words, orthodox science exists. There is another science. Orthodox is a Latin expression. Ors means correct. The dox doctrine. In other words, I propose some kind of hypothesis. Here I think that's right, logical. Assume. The science of the hypothetical, we have such a property. We are an assumption, we fantasize with whom, we write fiction. It's all orthodox. It may be so, it may be so, it may be so, and in the future it may be so. And there is an orc means correct, practice. In other words, if you have any theory, it's not enough. You should test this in practice. Then the conclusion is scientific, because the goal of the science of happiness is liberation from suffering, clarification of contradictions, that is, liberation from all problems. This is the goal of any science, the purpose of science as such. Therefore, we first assume, guess, then check in practice. The scientific world. We take knowledge from nature, from the laws of nature. Knowledge is contained in the universe, on earth, in nature itself. And we check the correspondence with this nature. That is nature. It will show us what is right, what is wrong, what works in life, and what does not work in life. If we spoil the planet with you, will it be a scientific approach to life? If we ruin our health, destroy families, if we abort children tens of millions a year in the world, is this a scientific approach? Tell me. If we make good roads and good high-speed cars, we will be happier. But in practice, what? In practice, there are also disadvantages of this theory. There are traffic jams and environmental pollution. There are oil problems. There are more problems than we expected at all. Let's figure out what is scientific, what is not scientific. Does it work in practice? Has our life become better? Has the environment in which we live become cleaner? No, it has become dirtier, so it does not work. It is not scientific. We live on an unscientific basis because we do not achieve happiness and peace. Here is my statement. Science has stopped solving philosophical questions. It has moved away from knowledge. It has begun to develop technologies. This is not the science of the sages. This is the science of ordinary people. This is not even considered knowledge as such yet. Well, for example, it's just a combination of these elements. This is not knowledge yet. It's just a combination of elements. I take flour, I take water, I mix it with butter, it turns out dough, bread. That's the whole science. What's going on here? Here I also take chemistry. So the element, so everyone. That's how it turns out. This is not considered a science. It's just that I mix some elements and observe them. But where did it all come from? Well, look, they teach us when I took the subject of chemistry, science. It was the science of the future then. You know, chemistry, my God. Someone is not interested in the transformation of matter. You take one, you get another. You can make gold out of water altogether. Oh, what prospects, isn't it? Here we take, look, prove hydrogen, oxygen mix the compound. Water turns out, see, there is a transformation. Oh, you can manage already. Let's study. But that's cheating. Listen carefully. This is a form of deception. And we didn't even notice at school that we were being colossally deceived. Even the teacher himself did not understand that he was cheating. Here it takes hydrogen, oxygen. And that's how he teaches. It's not called a teacher, it's called inflating. Because where's the binding force? The question is, what connects these elements? Yes, here it is. Here there is hydrogen, here is oxygen. There may not be any water until they are connected. You see how reasonable the world is. There is water, mountains, and airspace, rains come on time, and cycles of the sun. An unreasonable device for life has been developed. The superintelligent structure of life, look. That's cancer. Where there is something behind the connecting force that can make matter connect into an air space, some kind of matter into stone. That's what kind of energy it is. What is it controlled by? And then we open the Vedic books. By the way, they were once studied by Soviet scientists. Some sections regarding weapons. That it describes different types of weapons based on different elements. Not all types of weapons are known to us now. Nuclear weapons, the prototype of this idea, was from just one of these treatises. The prototype came, the very idea of it all. And there it is described that, and this weapon is a brahmaster, a nuclear weapon, is caused by special sound vibrations. You can call her. That's what people owned in the past. Mantras. Also, mantras could lead to interaction with water or with airspace and caused, say, a strong hurricane on the battlefield. Or suddenly torrents of rain could come, suddenly some things gathered. That is, they could control some material elements. But it is controlled by sound vibration. This is how it is said that light, compacting, turns into a wave, compacting, turns into a substance, decaying, turns into light. This cycle is always going on. Related to solar energy and sound. Every morning, start reducing it exactly like this. You have to express with sound, sing something, exclaim something. It is very important to express this happiness. Don't keep it with you. Because when we get angry, we immediately start talking loudly, wah, 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 wah. Is that a sound? But he spoils everything with us, defiles all this sound. He enters my cells somewhere. You see, I don't feel well. Then they remember these sounds, I feel bad. It turns out that a person can be brought to madness by the sound of a person. And you can say the real vibrations coming from the heart are love, do you understand? It's a delight, it's a vision of beauty. It's sharing something. To hear your own heart. But this sound is a talent. It's an unusual sound. Do you understand? People will want to listen to it. Everyone wants love. Everyone wants happiness. Everyone will come to listen. I need to get a job. I need to bargain. I just need to have talent. Talent is formed by sound. Say only good things, think good things, be positive and do good things. This is how we cultivate these abilities in ourselves. This is science. And what we are doing is just these technologies, telephones, cars, and everything else. These are prostheses to the human mind. Science should know that there are still mystical forces. I saw it myself in the office of One India. I lived there for about 6 months in South India. I was in some office, and it was the end of the working day. I understood that these people, they summed up some financial results at the end of the working day. Everyone put some figures on paper and laid them out on one table. There are many, many, many numbers. There was some kind of non-official, employee sitting at this table, but there was some kind of ancient fairy tale Hindu. Here he has a chelma there, some kind of precious stone, such peaches he has, some clothes. Well, in a fairy tale we have only seen such. Here. And he's also, strange, earrings in his ears, in general, so. And in front of him are these whole table of numbers. But they seem to have all the computers there, but they go to him. He looks like this, took his fingers like this. What was he doing? He touched it with his fingers. His eyes were twitching a little. That's how he looked for a few seconds, and he said debit and credit. Better than any computer on the machine. A person can count. Here we turn to the Vedic science, the ancient science that has been lost now, called unconventional science, based on the hidden abilities of man. These are the ones that we need to disclose now. This will be civilization.